Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Belly to Belly. And we're here today to talk about SelectUSA 2025 preparation. We're here with great friend, Daniel Sawko from Shipshape.vc. How are you, Daniel?
Hey, Bill, thanks very much for having me on. Yeah, doing great, thanks. Definitely looking forward to some warmer weather, which no doubt will be in store for us at SelectUSA this year.
That's fantastic. So, we're speaking today to companies who either have committed to come to SelectUSA or who are thinking about it. So we really want to give them as much information as possible so that we create as much pre-contact as possible. And so when we get to SelectUSA, we're really talking about a much more in-depth agenda for them than if everything was preliminary and superficial. So the first thing I'd really love to cover is what Shipshape.vc does to help companies expanding into the US. Obviously, and I know there's some real benefits in terms of investor connection, and we know that's a huge concern for companies as they expand. But would you mind sharing a little bit about what you do in that regard?
Yeah, thanks very much, Bill. Shipshape.vc is a free-to-use investment search engine. So we aggregate data from all over the web that enables companies who are raising to see which investors around the world they should be speaking with about what they're building. Now, obviously, the biggest market in the world is the United States, and there's huge demand from the companies that we survey that use the search engine in terms of expanding in that direction, which, no surprise, biggest consumer market in the world, biggest VC market in the world. It's a very logical route through. So we actually partner with US economic development corporations, and just, for sort of jargon busting, what that means is you've got these locations, whether that's like a city, a county, or a state within the United States, that really want you to pick their location. And so we work with those locations to help them identify which companies they really want to entice and attract in by giving them a great offer, a great deal to choose them over anyone else. So that's the way that the search engine works. And then also how we can, beyond just helping the companies identify investors, help them with other needs that they've got in terms of achieving the growth that they need.
That's fantastic. So for the companies expanding, there's a great value because they'll find better investors or ones that are more aligned with what they're particularly producing. And for the economic development organizations, they're able to much better connect with companies that would be predisposed or benefit better by their ecosystem.
Exactly. And if you've got an aligned ecosystem, and let's say it's in let's say somewhere in the Midwest, and you're building something to do with drone technology, for example. Actually, there are fantastic ecosystems out in the Midwest with lots of like former Air Force bases, which they've got a supply chain, they've got like takeoff and landing rights to airstrips, etc. You might not know that these places exist. But these places are trying to market the fact they have these amazing things going on, and they're going to make it really cost effective and efficient for you to choose that location too. Which, if you're a business leader and a founder of a company, it's just music to your ears. You're having the answers being sent to you that you didn't know that you needed to know.
Right. Well, and an answer that isn't New York or San Francisco, which are great communities, but also come with the cost of that is just different. It may not have the access to the ecosystem that would benefit them best. So yeah, no, that's really great. So let's talk about SelectUSA itself. And so now that you're a veteran of the event, thinking about the companies who are considering coming in particular, what makes it such a valuable event for a company expanding into the US?
So I think it's fair to say that the US is a world into itself, and that makes it in usual times potentially quite difficult to navigate. You have to go and travel across not just a continent, but also, if you think about the US overseas territories, several continents, essentially, to go and see the entirety of the United States. What's really special about SelectUSA is that you have those diverse constituent components that make up the US all in one conference venue. and they're all like, you've got all these states, all these counties, all these locations, lots of the types of services and products that you're going to need as well as a business, all under one roof. And you can then go and meet with these different locations. You can meet with investors, service providers, potential customers, and that's what makes us really special. It's got a real buzz too. I think last year it was there's a keynote speech by Antony Blinken, who obviously was Secretary of State at the time. You had the motorcade descending on the hotel, and that's quite something. You've got like hundreds of police officers and sort of security agents as well, like running around, and it's really special. It's got a real buzz to it, and I think there's something, that American spirit around optimism and can do and saying yes to business in general, that makes it such an exciting environment. And you've got that recipe, that delicious sort of melting pot, as it were, all in one location. You can see all the ingredients, and it's just it's a very special place to be.
That's really so well said. That's fantastic. Now, again, being a veteran of the event and with all of this sort of opportunity, it's only 3 days. So how does a company take best advantage of that? What are the things they need to do to get the most out of it?
So I definitely take a sort of min-max type approach to conferences. Right? I try and make sure that I've got at least some of my day with defined agenda. And then actually I try and make sure that I got some of the day where I have no defined agenda, to essentially be able to make the most of any potential water cooler type conversations that you might have, where you can potentially set up further meetings in your day, or actually just go and browse and go and have a look around, do conferencey things where you're getting to walk the halls and the stands, etc. So I definitely think that in advance, see who you can make early contact with for key accounts or key potential relationships for your business. But also keep some of the day free, so that you can actually make the most of the collisions that can happen, that could be positive for your business. Because what you don't want to do is, you don't want to end up with your schedules completely packed where you can make no additional room. But you do want to make sure that you're going to sit down with people that really matter and how you've formed those connections with in advance. So I think one of the things that we're definitely doing this year, and last year was my sort of first go over at SelectUSA, and one of the things we're doing this year is actually making sure that we're distributing relevant content to those that we really want to meet with well in advance of SelectUSA itself. Again, so that we're on second, third, sometimes even fourth conversation by the time that we actually meet in person at SelectUSA, to make the most of it.
That's fantastic. And so what I'm hearing as well, sort of between the lines, is also that you should be present. Whether you're in meetings or kind of walking the halls or whatnot. That sort of putting the business at home kind of to the side for at least those 3 days, and really taking advantage, immersing yourself in the event.
Most definitely, I think you have to. You don't want to be taking calls with with potentially the team back home, or even servicing accounts. See how much you can essentially make sure that you're giving the event your full attention and focus. You've got time in the morning, potentially time in the evening as well, to go and do that if you really need to. But try and make sure that you've cleared the decks and actually you're able to give it your full attention, because that's how you're going to maximize not just the water cooler conversations, but also the potential referrals that can happen in the space of the event too. Because you never know, that person that you meet may well know someone else at SelectUSA that they want to loop into the conversation. And again, those are the types of happy collisions that you want to be there to make the most of. And if you're there on your laptop and catching up on emails from back home, that's just much less likely to happen.
It is amazing, and it's probably a really good test for your team if you can unplug for 3 days, right? If you're probably not so ready for U.S. expansion if they can't handle the business at home, right? That probably is not a bad test.
Yeah, I think that's a great sort of filtering mechanism mechanic to check to see, can the business do without you for a few days. They're quite lucky here that we've got a team that is probably happier with me being out of the office for a few days. Yeah.
Yeah, would you please leave?
Daniel, why don't you do more conferences?
Exactly. It's our recommendation. Well, Daniel, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Is it okay if I put your contact info in the description below to help people contact you?
Yeah, please. That'd be fantastic. And I think it's probably worth sharing one more thing, which is something that we're starting to replicate both in the UK, and we're also doing it at an early stage in the US as well, where we're working not just with the investment promotion agencies, but also with local economic development, where companies that use our search engine, we're actually enabling local economic development where they might be aware of funding, grants, service support to identify the companies that are within their jurisdiction that they can potentially support with their business growth, because these are the businesses that are going to sort of 10x, 20x jobs in the next 5 years. And ultimately, if you're working within economic development, you want to be picking those that are going to move fast and really help not just anchor, but essentially take the local technology ecosystem to the next level.
That's brilliant. That's so fantastic. Well, good. And again, thank you so much for taking the time today. And we're really looking forward to seeing you in 2 months.
Yeah, really excited for SelectUSA. Thanks very much for having us, Bill.
Thank you.